Welcome back to Finish Line on our official podcast form. We are on, of course, crnsports.org, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, iTunes Radio, TuneIn Radio, Spreaker, Spotify, you name it. We have it covered for you. Thank you to our executive producer, Mr. Trace Knight, back in Henderson, running the boards for me. Appreciate it, my friend. We're going to go back to the phone lines now, and we have dabbled into what is the 103rd running of the greatest spectacle in racing, the Indianapolis 500-mile race on Sunday. Well, as the sun goes down at Indy, another race is brewing in the Queen City just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, and that is the grueling endurance race. That is the 600 miles for NASCAR's endurance at the end of the season. One of the biggest races that everybody will always look at is the Coca-Cola 600. We just talked with Mark Jaynes about the Indy 500. Now we discuss the Coca-Cola 600. And to me, Lenny Batycki of PRN's at the track and one of the PA announcers at Charlotte Motor Speedway, America's home place for racing, it'll always be called the World 600 to me. Welcome to Finish Line, buddy.
Welcome. Great to be on here. Thank you for having us. And we're getting ready for another one after that barn burner of an all-star race. We think the Coca-Cola 600 will be a great competition on the track, kind of like it was out at Kansas. But even more importantly, and as you well know, you live over there by Fort Bragg and all the different bases in the eastern part of North Carolina.
When I'm home,
where we honor the military.
That's right. That's right, exactly. I was jokingly saying with you when I'm home, for that matter, when I'm at home, yes. But yes.
When you're home, you're right there, and, we can't do any of this, whether it's the Great Indy 500, the Coca-Cola 600, any of the races, those grassroots events that you and I love to go to. It's all about how our freedoms and Constitution have been protected for generations, for centuries here, and those that gave all everywhere. We can't forget that sacrifice, not only for them personally, but their families through the generations that have also, had to soldier on forward from that. Memorial Day weekend is not forgotten at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and we're going to have a special, significant stop to our Coca-Cola 600 exactly at the halfway mark and have that moment to where we let the world know that even in the middle of the biggest field of play that there is, the mile and a half here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, we're going to stop everything and remember those troops that gave all.
There's just something special about that. It's like I said at the opening intro of our Finish Line show, Lenny Batycki is, Memorial Day weekend is so special for anybody, of course, for the military, acknowledging our 5-branch military forces and the men and women that have passed away fighting for our country to let us have the freedoms that we enjoy, like racing or being a race fan in general, or doing what we do for our day-to-day lives. But the Monaco Grand Prix, the Indianapolis 500, just talking with Mark Jaynes about that event, and of course now talking with you about the Coca-Cola 600. Memorial Day has such special meaning for motorsports.
Well, and we've got a Medal of Honor recipient from right here in North Carolina, Bob Patterson, coming down to be a part of this. Lee Greenwood to sing God Bless America. I mean, it is certainly going to be a big way that we let everybody know how much we love and appreciate the military. And we're going to try to have a great time, not only with the race, but we've got legendary rock and roll band Cheap Trick to play our pre-race infield concert. So lots of stuff going on. Hopefully folks will come and tailgate and take it all in.
And of course,
weekend on Sunday.
Yes, but in addition to that, tomorrow you've got qualifying for the Coca-Cola 600 for the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. You have the ARCA Menard Series coming off of their event at Toledo Speedway in the Sioux Chief 200, won by Venturini Motorsports driver Chandler Smith. They're going to be in action for the ARCA race tomorrow night at, of course, Charlotte Motor Speedway. Then you got Friday, the dirt track at Charlotte, the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars, the Fuel Late Models, Seca Pro Late Models, and more for the Patriot Nationals. And then, of course, Saturday, the 200, the NASCAR Xfinity Series event, 300 lapper Alsco 300. And then on Sunday, just after 5:30, 6 o'clock, it is the 60th running of the Coca-Cola 600.
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing, entertaining weekend. Hopefully, folks from around the area will be able to come over and visit with us. We've got fans coming in from all 50 states and countries all across the globe. It's going to be a celebration of North Carolina, of NASCAR racing, and a great time to tip our caps to all of those folks that support everything we do around here in the military. So, Wesley, hopefully, wherever you're at, and I know your travels take you all far-flung all over the place, but maybe you'll get to tune us in and have some friends in the grandstands cheering on these race drivers and all the rest.
My intention is to go to Cup Series qualifying and the ARCA race tomorrow.
Well, it should be a good one. Chandler Smith cut his teeth in Bandolero racing right on the quarter mile, and he's coming home with a big win in his pocket from that race you described at Toledo. This one should be a good one, a homecoming for a lot of racers, and a lot on the line in the General Tire 150 tomorrow.
Lenny, let's talk about Young Money Kyle Larson. It's been a kind of up and down season, more struggles than successes for the driver of Chip Ganassi Racing, and finally breaking through and winning $1 million in the All-Star race. I know it's not a points event, but obviously that's got to be a special momentum booster going into the Coca-Cola 600 this Sunday.
I think it will, but it's it kind of fits Larson's history of short races, grassroots races, to where that's more in his style. 600 miles is going to be a superior test for all these drivers who can not just make it to 500. There's been a lot of racers that have competed and led at the 500-mile mark, but that rare air is the 600-mile mark, and it's really the test that is the differentiator that makes this such a great race. 600 miles is only done once a year in all of the top levels of motorsports, and it's right here at Charlotte this weekend. Kyle Larson's certainly going to be a factor. He's going to be somebody we're watching, but we'll all be watching for who can make it past that 500-mile mark. And I think that's what's so special. You'll hear people talk about, it's such a long race. But you know what? That separates all of them from the ones that really push it to the limit all the way 600 miles.
That's exactly right. Of course, Lenny Batycki, in addition to working at Charlotte Motor Speedway as announcer, and real quickly, talk about that. I've had the privilege to work with Ken Squire. How cool is it to be in the booth with such an historian and a respected broadcaster at the Coca-Cola 600 and all events at Charlotte, Lenny?
It's some of the toughest work as an announcer, because not only is he fantastic, you find yourself becoming just a kid in a race stand.
Yes.
There'll be times when I sit back and I'm listening to Ken, and it's like, oh, wait, he wants me to talk. I can't believe he's actually letting me, because I just enjoy listening to him so much in his off-air stories about the history of the sport and the different things that, he's had to overcome back in, the 50s and 60s and before then even. It's amazing, and Charlotte Motor Speedway bringing Ken Squire in to be a part of this weekend is an awesome thing for the fans to add to their experience.
Again, 1-800-455-FANS, CharlotteMotorspeedway.com to order your tickets for the Coca-Cola 600. If you have not already done so, we are talking to Lenny Batycki of PRNs at the track. And speaking of PRNs at the track, Lenny, would you have ever thunk that it would last and be as successful as it has become since, 2012, I think is when you started it? 7 years strong?
Yeah, Wesley, though, I think somebody with your history of grassroots racing, the few people that know how much grassroots racing across the country is really interconnected with guys like you and me. I don't know that there was, in my heart a question, but whether we could get the world to notice it. And now we're up to almost 70 stations in 14 states. We're just very blessed with having folks support us and listeners to listen, and hopefully we're helping grow grassroots racing from, Four Oaks, North Carolina, all the way across to Knoxville, Iowa, and beyond.
Well, actually, Lenny, it's Clayton, North Carolina now. I live in Clayton now. I live back in my hometown. So whenever I'm home, whenever I'm home, like I said. But yes, I left Four Oaks about 5 years ago.
Well, Wesley, Four Oaks still has one or two folks that go to grassroots.
That's right.
We'll just welcome them here as well.
That's exactly right. And, it's what really cool, Lenny. I'll always remember I was one of the first guests that you had on PRNs at the track, and it's just amazing where it's grown to now. You have a southern, southeast-based show. You have a Midwest show. You have it on the Go PRN app. You have, of course, the podcast. You have so many cool things that you do, live remotes during the World Finals and more. It's just amazing where, I got to give kudos to Marcus Smith and Bruton Smith and everybody with Doug Rice and everyone with PRN and yourself, Lenny, for putting that grassroots motorsports out there to let more people know about racing, because it's not just about NASCAR. It's not just about IndyCar. It's not just about NHRA or IHRA drag racing. There are so many cool things out there in racing, just like this weekend this weekend you got, tonight, the Speed 51 Open at Millbridge Speedway. Ashley Burnett will be joining me at the top of the hour to talk about that. You have the Fast Track Triple Crown Series at Beckley, West Virginia in Friendship. You've got the Blue Ridge Outlaw Late Model Series, Tour for a Cure. They got their 3 days of thunder. Just so many great things going on in racing.
Well, and you mentioned the Blue Ridge Outlaw Late Models. Those guys have really put together a nice series that keeps the dollars down for the expense-wise and still creates a lot of excitement. We're hoping for a good weekend for all those series that are out there. And come see the Stars of the Southeastern Crate Association as well as the Fuel Series as a part of that Patriot Nationals, the United Rentals Patriot Nationals for the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Sprint Cars.
Yeah, real quickly, talk about that event, because that was just announced like a couple of months ago as being now, again, let me take that back. There has always been a World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car event at the dirt track at Charlotte, but it's normally primarily on a Friday night. What was the decision made by Charlotte Motor Speedway and World Racing Group to make this now a 2-day weekend, Friday and Saturday?
Well, you've got fan demand is up, and from the grassroots all the way here, and they wanted to see more sprint car action. These stars, the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Series, are a high demand product, and we just figured out a way to shoehorn it in with our operations department and our events department. They rolled up their sleeves, got things done with the good folks from World Racing Group, and now we've got a doubleheader.
Going to be a fun time. Again, both nights, the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars, the 410 Wing Sprint Cars will be there. And then, of course, on Friday night, it will be the Fuel Racing Series. That's the 525 Spec Engine Late Model Series. Matter of fact, it's the only one in the country because the Chevy Super Series is no longer around. That was part of the Durance Lane brand. And then, of course, you've also got the SECA Pro Late Models, the Southeastern Crate Association in action. And that's one of the things I try to stay away from, Lenny. I know that there's, you support this sanctioned body, you support that sanctioned body. I'm like you, Lenny. I love all racing. I love Fast Track. I love Ultimate. I love SECA. I love Fuel. I love Outlaws. I love All Stars. I love them all.
Out of that racing weekend here at Charlotte at the dirt track, Chris Ferguson, Trent Ivey, and Ryan Adkins, all that have launched, their careers into the stratosphere by getting up on that stage at the end of the night at the dirt track at Charlotte Motor Speedway on this Coca-Cola 600 weekend. It's a big one. And these Southeastern Crate Association drivers in the Fuel Series, they know they got to get it up and get up on the wheel. It could be a career maker this coming weekend.
Real quickly, Lenny, a few more minutes with Lenny Batycki, then we take radio timeout. We'll go back with Ashley Burnett to talk about the Speed 51 Open. That is tonight, by the way, at Millbridge Speedway. Preliminary night was last night. You mentioned Kyle Larson, by the way, Lenny Batycki. He won the All-Star race at Charlotte last Saturday night, and, of course, he is the man that set quick time in the 6th annual Speed 51 Open. By the way, Speed51.tv or Speed 51 Network will have coverage of that, Speed51.com for the pay-per-view for tonight at Millbridge. It will also be on Short Track America on MAV TV. But real quickly, Lenny, the NASCAR car of this year, what is your takes on the new car, the new spoiler package, the tapered spacer, the without restrictor plates at Daytona and Talladega? And it's kind of branching off of what a great wild race we saw at the All-Star race last year, won by Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, I'm not the most technical guy in the world as far as what these machines are built and how they're done, kind of measure it on how high the crowd around me lifts their long necks, and they seem to be holding them up a little higher, cheering a little louder this year than they have. I think we're coming in the right direction, and if we look at what happened at the All-Star race this year, it just builds on the great things that they were able to tweak on that package last year. I think NASCAR's got a bright future. You can tell the energy